Hello there YouTube, it's Jacob from Team Pyramid, and today I want to show you an updated version of my Red Dragon Archfiend deck. I like this deck, it is very fun and I play it quite a bit. This deck doesn't contain any link monsters, although you can add them if you choose to. I choose not to. I will explain why a little bit later. But let's get into this. It is a fun deck. It's based around getting your big guys out fast as possible and getting as much damage into your opponent as physically possible. So to start off, I run 3 Red Resonators. Red Resonator is awesome. So when this card is normal summoned, you can special summon 1 level 4 or lower monster from your hand. That effect comes in really handy. However, when Red Resonator itself is special summoned, sorry, I've got hiccups. When Red Resonator itself is special summoned, you get to go ahead and get the attack points of one monster on the field and gain life points to that amount. So you target one face-up monster. It don't have to be your monster. It could be one of your opponents if they've got a bigger monster than yourself, and you gain life points equal to that monster's attack. Really good, especially when it comes down to like if you are getting hit over. Then I run 3 Synchron Resonators. So Synchron Resonator is really good. I run it at 3 because when you have a Synchro monster on the field, you get to go ahead and special summon it from your hand. Once this card goes to the graveyard, you get to add a Resonator monster back from your graveyard to your hand, except Synchron Resonator. So it lets you get your other Resonators back to enable other plays. And you can special summon more than one of these per turn. That's why I said if you wanted to run links in it, you could. These cards will allow you to get spam out monsters quickly. Then I run 2 Chain Resonators. So I run 2. I'm thinking of bumping it up to 3. I run 2 for the fact that when this card is normal summon while the Synchro monster is on the field, you can special summon 1 Resonator monster from your deck. So it's really good. It is only a level 1, but you'll notice that it does do what it needs to do. I then run 2 Red Gardener. So I run 2 Red Gardener because during either player's turn, when your opponent activates a card that activates a card or effect while I control a Red Dragon Archfiend monster, I can send this card from my hand to the graveyard, and that way that monster cannot be destroyed by my opponent's card effects this turn. It's basically a hand trap to basically make sure that my monsters are safe. So if they're going to ride Geki or Dark Hole or anything, pitch it to the grave, job done. If they're going to activate anything else to go ahead and basically interrupt my plays when I've got a Red Dragon on the field, go ahead, pitch that from your hand, you've got save. You can quite easily, if you wanted to, actually include hand traps in this deck, by all means, because pretty much all the hand traps are tuners, which will work well in it. So you can quite easily if you want to. However, I've designed this deck around basically making it the most affordable for every player. Then I run 3 Red Sprinters. So Red Sprinter, when this card is normal summoned, while no other monsters you can special summon this, normal summon or special summon, you control no monsters on your side of the field, special summon 1 level 3 or lower fiend type tuner monster from your hand or graveyard. So it don't have to be from your hand. If you've got no other tuners, you can get them from your grave, enable extra plays from there, and lets you go forward from there. So instantly that'd be a level 7 that you could go into, and then if you had Synchron or anything, you can go straight into a level 8, get your big Red Dragons out, and go for it from there. Then I run 3 Red Wargs. Sorry, I'm throwing them now. I run 3 Red Wargs. The reason why I run 3 is because when you have a Resonator monster on the side of the field, you get to special summon it, but its attack becomes halved. You're not worrying about its attack. You're never attacking with Red Warg. You're always using it to bump up and go into your next plays and go into your synchros, which is what the card is in the deck for. You want to see it fast, which is why you run it at 3. I also run 3 Magical King Moonstars. So this card is really good. When you control, it cannot be used as a synchro material except for a synchro of a dark monster. So it does enable plays that it does basically restrict plays that way. However, all your big Red Dragon synchro monsters are darks, so you're using it for that. This card, you can go ahead and special summon it and target one other monster I controlled or in my graveyard, and until the end of the turn, the mystical King Moonstar's level becomes that monster. So it works well with your graveyard, and obviously recycling up from there. Then obviously the one glow up bulb. The glow up bulb is brilliant in this deck because you get to go ahead and special summon it. So it just enables extra plays when you really need them. That's it for the monsters. So you'll notice I don't really run that many high level monsters in there. You go ahead, I'll explain why when I'll show you the extra deck. But going off to the spells, obviously I run 3 red Resonator Cool. So I run 3 Resonator Cool because it is your searcher. It lets you get any Resonator monster from your deck to your hand, starts your plays off. You 9 times out of 10 you're going for red Resonator. It just gets you going from there. Then I run 3 Return of the Dragon Lords. So I run 3 of these because obviously it gives you red dragons and your dragon type monsters once you've actually got them on the field. It gives them extra safety by banishing it from the graveyard. And if you do use your red dragons, so I use my synchros and my extra deck to go up and up and up. So it enables extra plays for me. So that way, when I reborn them, it don't go back into my extra monster zone. It goes to my main monster zone. So it enables extra plays regarding that. I then, for draw power, run 2 red dragon vase. So red dragon vase lets you go ahead while I control a red dragon Archfiend, draw 2 cards. You cannot normal summon or set after monsters after this card is activated. For the rest of the turn, it is really, really good. It lets you draw extra cards. Brilliant. Then for the ones of, I run 1 Monster Reborn, 1 Soul Charge, and this is my little new spicy thing in here. So it's Necro Synchro. So this card, you banish 1 tuner and up to 2 non-tuner monsters from your graveyard, and if I do, special summon 1 Stardust Synchro monster. So from my extra deck, whose level equals that total amount. So the banished monster, however, it has its effects negated, and it's also treated as a synchro summon. So it does have its effects negated. However, it gets you out some of your monsters. So if you don't have anything else in your hand other than a tuner, you go ahead, get that out, job done. So that's it for the spells. Off to the traps. I am running a few traps actually. Start off with, I'm running 3 King Synchro. So I didn't like this card, but I'm actually beginning to like it more. So when your opponent's monster declares an attack on a Synchro monster, you just negate the attack straight up. Then you can, so it's not necessary, but it's like you can, you can apply the rest of this card's effect. Banish that Synchro monster you control and 1 tuner from your graveyard, and if you do, special summon from your extra deck 1 Synchro monster whose level equals the total level that the banished monsters had. This card is treated as a Synchro summon. So that is phenomenal. You don't have to do it, but the fact it allows you to use your graveyard to Synchro with, it's really, really good. You get to go ahead and Synchro from your graveyard, use your tuners. It just gets your graveyard actually using and actually makes it so you get more resources from there. So even though they're in the grave, they're not just sitting there rotting away. Then run 3 Reject Reborn. This card can be sided out. I'm going to be honest. So it's your choice. I'm not going to show you a side deck, but side decks are always up to personal preference, what you're playing as well. But I've put this in here for my side deck, so it's good, but I would always when I'm siding out, I always side this out. So when an opponent's monster declares a direct attack, end the battle phase, and special summon one tuner and 1 synchro monster from my graveyard, but their effects are negated. So again, it's getting your graveyard into play and getting more resources for you. Then, thanks to the ban list, I really like this. 3 compulsory evacuation devices. Thank you, Konami, for bringing this back. The fact that this card allows you to go ahead and just return cards from the field to the hand, so it's not destroying them, it's just bouncing them back to hand so you can clear the field. It's phenomenal. If they go ahead, get their main link monster, get a link monster out, bounce it back, nothing they can do. So that's it for the main deck. going off to the extra deck, I run 1 Ally of Justice Cataster. Really good card. So when this card attacks anything other than a dark monster, at the start of the damage step, so it's at the very start of the damage step, that monster is destroyed. Just straight up destroyed. It's a level 5, so it's easy enough to go into, and it does cause some problems. Obviously, if you're playing against Lair of Darkness, this deck does struggle a lot against the new Lair of Darkness for the fact that they can just tribute over your big monsters and you're putting so much resources in, which is why I decided to add in so much for enabling you to use the graveyard. I did say I'll explain why I do that. So I've been playing this deck a lot, and the deck does struggle a lot, and where I play, there's quite a few Lair of Darkness players. And the fact that they can just tribute off your big monsters that you put so much resources into, it does get so annoying. So that's the reason why the graveyard for me, and I've made it so the graveyard is basically an extra tool for me in this deck. It enables, so even if they do tribute it off, I can get it back. Then going off to the level 6s, I have Stardust Charge Warrior. So again, another Stardust monster for the Necro Synchro. Lets you draw a card and lets you attack all special summon monsters your opponent controls. You're mainly using it for the extra draw. Then I run 1 Bryonic Dragon of the Ice Barrier. So again, lets you bounce cards, really good. Even with its nerf, it's still a really good level 6 to have in here. I enjoy playing it. I don't know why you wouldn't be running it in here. Then for the level 7s, I run 1 Black Rose Dragon for the board clearance. In case there's anything you can't get over, go ahead, just drop it, and then you can go ahead and bring it back with Return of the Dragon Lords. Get it back out, and then you can keep going from there. Then 1 Clearing Synchro Dragon. Love this card. I prefer this art to the new art. Clearing Synchro Dragon is basically a Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon. Speaking of which, Crystal Wing, I don't need to explain it, and I shouldn't need to explain Clear Wing either. The cards are just phenomenal. Then, although Masterpiece is no longer actually on the scene, it's banned. I run one BLs. So the fact that this card is just overpowering. It's a 3,000, and then cannot be destroyed by battle or card effect. Straight up good there. When you take damage from an attack involving this card, or from an opponent card's effect, this card gains attack equal to the damage you took. Phenomenal. Going up against Trickstars and the amount of damage you take from their effects, this card just boosts and boosts and boosts, and then you can just go in for game. I really like it. I really like the fact that does that, and even now playing against True Dracos, get that card on the field, job done. Then I run 1 Stardust Dragon. Again, it's another target for your Necro. However, Stardust Dragon's effect is phenomenal. When this card came out, it revolutionized the game with its effect. Just phenomenal. That's it for the generics. Off to my actual Red Dragons. So I run 1 of the Red Dragon Archfiend. I couldn't not put him in the deck. He's not one of the best, but I couldn't not put him in the deck. Yeah, he can attack and destroy all defense position monsters. However, if he don't attack, or cards you don't attack, they get destroyed at the end of the turn if they don't attack. So that's the downside with Red Dragon Archfiend. However, he still looks phenomenal. Still love the card, and that's the reason why he's in the deck. Then off to one of the biggest playmakers of the deck. I run 3 Scarlight Red Dragon Archfiends. So, I run 3 Scarlight Red Dragon Archfiends just for the fact that it's classed as Red Dragon Archfiend, and the fact that this card allows you to go ahead and just destroy all special summon monsters on the field, including my special summon monsters, and my opponent takes damage 500 points equal to the amount of special summon monsters. He's in here as well for the Lair of Darkness, just for the fact of the amount of tokens that they generate on my turn and on theirs. You drop this guy, destroy all of them, it's job done. It is literally job done. They take so much damage. It is incredible. But like I said, this deck is very, very fragile against decks like Lair of Darkness. They drop the viruses on you, and that hurts. That just hurts. It can shut down the deck big time. But going off to one of my favourite boss monsters of the deck, Tyrant Red Dragon Archfiend. So this card is absolutely phenomenal. So this card itself lets you go ahead, and I think this is personally my boss monster of the deck. Although the next card I'm going to show you is technically stronger. However, this is my personal boss monster of the deck. This is my go-to one. So this card allows you to go ahead and destroy all other cards on the field. So it's not just monsters, it's all other cards other than this guy, and this guy can still attack. And even if somehow, when you go into your battle phase, during either player's battle phase, when a spell or trap card is activated, you can negate the activation, and if you do, destroy it. And if you do, this card gains 500 attack. So instantly it's going up to a 4,000. Utterly broken. You're getting 3,500 damage straight off the mat with this card on its own. And then you go, if they activate anything in their turn, during battle or anything like that, you get to go ahead and negate it and give him a boost. Utterly incredible. He's really easy to get out due to the fact of what the deck does. It is phenomenal having that card in here, which is why I run him at 2. I used to run him at 3, and in all honesty, I probably would bump him back up to 3. Then, for the final card in my extra deck, Red Nova Dragon. So this card is technically the boss monster because it's 3,500, and this card gains attack equal 500 points equal to every Resonator card in my graveyard. So that's incredible because this deck just literally gets your Resonators and goes through them. It doesn't matter if they're the same name, it's just every tuner monster. So it's every tuner monster in the graveyard. So it's not even Resonator, it's every tuner monster in the graveyard. This card gains 500 attack. Your opponent's this card cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card's effects. When your opponent's monster declares an attack, you can target the attacking monster, banish this card, and if you do, negate the attack. During the next end phase, special summon this card, which is phenomenal. So it just negates the attack, comes back, and then you can go over it. Just hit over it. Especially with this, if you banish it, it'll then it'll then move from your extra monster zone into your main monster zone. It just enables extra plays. But that's it for my Red Dragon Archfiend deck. If there's any cards that you guys can think of, or any cards that you guys think should be in here, please let me know in the comments below. As always, I just want to say I really do appreciate every single one of you that take the time to watch my videos. I know this one's been a little bit longer because I've explained certain things, but thank you very much indeed for watching. And if you want to see any decks profile, please let me know. If you want to see any packs open, please let me know. But as always, YouTube, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.